On this video, we're going to look at how we can use Fusion 360 to complete an OCR Level 2 project. And we're going to be focusing on how we can move those earlier learning objectives like the technical drawings and how we can then transfer those into a 3D CAD design. So let's jump into Fusion and give it a go. So once we're on Fusion, what we need to do is we need to insert that technical drawing that we've already saved an image of. So to do this, go to the Insert drop-down menu and select Canvas. It will then open up this dialog box asking you which file it is that you want to select. So I've got mine saved in my computer. So I'm going to go to Downloads and I'm going to open the image file that I need. It's then going to open this dialog box and ask us to pick a face or a canvas for us to draw on. So I'm going to select this one to the left. It's then going to ask me about the size and position of the canvas, which I'm not too fussed on, but if you like, you can use this blue one in the corner just to then enlarge that canvas. And then simply click OK once you've positioned it. I'm then going to use the view cube in the top right, and I'm going to look at this from straight on. So now I've got my canvas inserted into that workspace. At the minute, the sizing of that isn't what we need it to be. So if you look in your browser and you select the drop-down menu for canvases, we can then right-click on our image and select Calibrate. So what this does is this gives us an opportunity to tell Fusion 2 points along that canvas and what that sizing would be. So I'm going to select this first point here and then the opposite point on that circle there. So for this, I'm going to need it to be 75. So I'm going to type that in and press enter. And then it's going to automatically resize that canvas. So I'm going to click the home button. So now that we've got this canvas and it's at the size that we need it to be, I'm going to start sketching around this to get that 2D profile at the front of this sketch. So I'm going to select create a sketch. And I'm going to create it on this plane facing me now. So from here, I can then use the create drop-down menu and start using those different sketch elements in order to draw around this profile here. So the first one I'm going to select is rectangle, and I'm going to want the 2-point rectangle. So I'm going to drop this first point at the top of this circle, and then I'm going to hover over the opposite point on the next circle. But I'm not going to click just yet, and that's because I'm going to add those dimensions in manually instead. So this first dimension, the vertical one, I'd like that to be 75. And then all I'm going to do is press tab to switch over to this other one. So this time, what I need to do is I'm going to just round that down to 200. So when you're using these canvases, because you've done your drawings by hand, it's not going to be perfectly accurate. So what I'd do is just round up or down, just so you're working with nice even numbers. So now I've got this rectangle, what I need to do next is finish off this circular part of that profile. So to do this, I'm going to select the circle function from the create panel. But now what I need to do is select the center of this circle. So what I need to do is hover over this vertical line, and you'll notice the cursor changes to a blue cross just to show that it's locked into that line. What I then need to do is with the mouse slowly hover over until it gets to show this triangle on the screen. And what this means is it's locked into the midpoint of that line. So I'm simply going to left click to add that center point, and then I'm going to click the edge of this circle when it gets to 75. So that circle has now been added just to finish off that sketch. So what I'm going to do now is I no longer need that circle function, so I'm going to press escape on the keyboard. And I'm going to use the line function once again. So I'm just going to click line in the top left. Again, I'm going to look for the midpoint of this horizontal line. I'm going to click that as my first point. And then I'm just going to drop it down and select the midpoint of that line that's parallel to it. Again, I'm done with the line function, so I can press escape. So what we're going to do now is, rather than fiddling and faffing about in order to get this circle, I'm going to use the mirror function just to copy this circle across onto the other side of that rectangle. So I'm going to go to Create, and I'm going to select Mirror. It's then going to ask me which objects I'd like to mirror. So I'm going to select that circle on the left, and it asks me for a mirror line. So for this, I'm just going to select that central line that we added previously. It'll now give me a preview in grey, so that looks completely fine. So I'm just going to click OK to add that second circle on this side. So you'll notice that I've got these closed shapes here that are shown with the dark sort of shading. So what I need to do next is extrude this to make it a nice 3D shape. But because these are all separate 2D shapes, it'd make it easier if I just had one clear 2D shape. So in order to do this, we're moving on from the Create panel, and we're now going on to Modify, and we're going to select Trim. So this just helps us get rid of some of those unwanted lines that we've added previously. So when I hover over a line, it's going to turn a purplish red. All we need to do is left click on all those internal lines, and it's just going to allow us to get rid of those without deleting the entire shape. Sometimes it will come up with this warning in the bottom right. So at the minute, this is just a yellow warning. So that's just almost like a gentle warning. And it's just telling me that some constraints and dimensions were removed. We're completely fine with that. So I'm just going to click Escape to go off the Trim tool. And I'm going to click Finish Sketch in the top right. So if I click the Home button, you'll now see that I've created this nice closed 2D shape on that workspace now. So what I now need to do is drag this out and make it into a 3-dimensional shape. So to do this, I'm going to go to Create, and I'm going to select Extrude. So again, it's going to come up with this dialog box asking us for some of the criteria for this extrusion. So profiles, because this is the only profile I've got so far in this workspace, it's just going to automatically select that one. It also gives us some ideas on our start point and the direction we want to go in. But for now, we're just going to leave those as they are. And I'm going to start by clicking and dragging this arrow. And what you'll notice is in the dialog box, if I bring it out forwards, it's going to have this positive value for our distance. But for this, I'm going to want to drag it backwards so I can still clearly see that canvas. So you'll notice that it's now a negative value. So I am just going to type in a value of -55, and that's just going to give us some depth to our 3D shape. So once you've done this, simply click OK, and we've now got this 3D shape and this base for our model to work from. So for today, we're just going to leave that here, and I'm just going to simply click Save. I'm going to call this Speaker CPD, and then click Save. And then we're just going to leave it there for today. So thanks for watching and enjoy.